Imagine you're playing your favorite game with friends and you all come across a new situation that isn't explained explicitly in the rules. You all agree on a fair way to handle it that follows the general spirit of the rules, and from then on, whenever that situation comes up, you follow the same rule. This idea of sticking to an earlier decision is at the heart of how the Supreme Court operates. It's called precedent, and it's a cornerstone of the judicial branch. So, what is precedent? In simple terms, precedent means that courts follow previous decisions when ruling on new cases that are similar. This ensures consistency and stability in the law, which is crucial for fairness and predictability. Precedent is important for several reasons. First, it promotes the rule of law and justice. By treating similar cases in the same way, the courts ensure that everyone is held to the same standards. This in turn creates stability. People and businesses can make decisions knowing how the courts have ruled on similar issues in the past. Finally, precedent respects the principle of stare decisis, a Latin term meaning to stand by things decided. This principle helps maintain continuity and trust in the legal system. Let's take a look at an example of precedent in action. In the 1886 case of Boyd v. United States, the Supreme Court ruled that the government compelling a person to produce their private papers was an illegal search and seizure within the meaning of the 14th Amendment. Later in 1914, the court ruled in Weeks v. the United States that evidence obtained by federal officers through an illegal search was inadmissible in court. This established the exclusionary rule. This rule would eventually be applied to state officers in the case of Mapp v. Ohio in 1961. But precedent is not beyond debate or challenge. In the landmark case Brown v. Board of Education in 1954, the Supreme Court overturned the precedent set by Plessy v. Ferguson in 1896. Plessy had established the separate but equal doctrine, which allowed racial segregation. However, the court in Brown decided that separate but equal was inherently unequal and unconstitutional. Precedent doesn't just belong in history books, it impacts our lives today. For instance, cases involving digital privacy, freedom of speech, and students' rights often refer back to previous rulings to guide current decisions. When you hear about a Supreme Court ruling in the news, it's likely built on a foundation of precedents. But how do justices decide whether to follow precedent or overturn it? This is where judicial interpretation comes in. Judicial interpretation is the process by which judges understand and apply the law to specific cases. Understanding precedent gives you insight into how our legal system works and why the Supreme Court makes the decisions it does. It is more than just a historical concept. It's an aspect of our constitutional system that affects our lives. So next time you hear about a Supreme Court case, remember the power of precedent and how it helps maintain fairness, stability, and continuity in our legal system.